Hi, this is Michael Cohen. I'm a Dallas elder law and estate planning topic. I'm joined by my friend, my co-host for many years of our radio show, Don Crawford Jr., who's so graciously agreed to continue doing this by YouTube as we've gone on to the next generation. Just used to be radio, and now look what we have today. Well, in any event, today's topic is on Hugh Hefner's widow. Okay, she has threatened his foundation for possible distribution of, I hate to say, explicit photos and videos that are held by the foundation. Okay. Okay. So this is not, we're not talking Hugh Hefner, of course, those who may know, was a Playboy fame, the magazine and mansion, and whatever else that went along with Playboy, that was something that some fame, I guess, for many decades. And he was married several times. His last wife was named Crystal, and she had been president of the foundation, but there was apparently a disagreement. What has happened is that the there were some videos in his quote unquote scrapbooks, videos and photos. There were over 3,000 of these photos and scrapbook and videos, and she was concerned that those might be disseminated, distributed. And she knew that she hadn't given consent to these photos. And she even said that some even young girls may have been depicted. And so she got her attorney, and last month, at least at the time of this recording, last month, she said, "Okay, we're concerned that the foundation is trying to digitize the photos, and we're concerned that there'll be these between artificial hacking and A1 deep AI deep fake that people could see these pictures, and we haven't given our consent." She said she hadn't given consent, and she knows thousands of others probably haven't. And so you have the name, image, and likeness, and is that, can you disseminate somebody else's photo without their authority? So often you see different TV shows and you see the people's faces kind of fuzzed out, and that's because they didn't have the consent. And this is a little bit even more disturbing because you have these photos that could be, well,
Yeah.
some people probably wouldn't want those to be seen.
Yeah.
It could have been done decades ago, and now their life has changed. Instead of being a party animal, they might be a mother with children and, have completely changed their life around. And so she was saying, okay. And so she has gone to the attorney generals of California, which is where Hugh Hefner lived, and Illinois, where the Hugh Hefner Foundation is, to see what can be done so that if there is storage, it could be done in a responsible manner. Because the like the Hefner's sons said, well, we don't see any problem. Uh, this is his legacy, and so we should have it. His foundation, and I'm always curious about how a foundation could be, you have these charities, and some charities, and I know a lot of people have foundations, but this one is based on First Amendment rights to rational sex and drug use. And I'm thinking, how is that a charity? I'm not really sure if that's a charitable foundation or not, but whatever. That's what its mission is. And so the family seems to think that there's not that's his legacy. And so it should be remembered. But how does this affect the rights of others? And who does it belong to? How did the foundation even get the photos to begin with? And is that a part of the estate? Should that have been a part of the estate of Hugh Hefner as opposed to the owned by the foundation? So these are questions she's lawyered up and said, okay. And so now this is where we are today.
I would guess that if she didn't sign something that gives them her consent, then she has an argument there. She's got a foot to stand on, I would think. And if I'm the estate, I'd be concerned and I'd want to pay her off when you or make her or just stop it. But it makes me think of you and I like sports and we talk about football and things like that. Erin Andrews. Remember her like 5 or 10 years ago or something where she sued someone for sexting or something like that and she won like 10, 20, 30 million dollars. So she's set for life. I don't know who she sued, the sexting organization, the company that allowed it, Google, Apple, I don't know. But she won, and I think that helped set precedent for others.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think it's important on any type of thing when you're using somebody's likeness without their prior written consent. I think you have some issue. I know when my daughter got married, I put something in the agreement with the photographer, the videographer that said that we need to get the consent of even anybody who was a guest before you use their photo.
Laura, Laura,
So, you would think, we've talked about on prior shows about name, image, and likeness, but, or in this case, consent, it's the same type of idea. If you use your likeness, and especially if it's not some, it could be disparaging in some respect. I would think that there could be some potential liability, but somebody have a right if it's do they have a right to something that they own? If we say, okay, well, we're not going to show it to anybody, um, okay, but this is where it lies.
yeah, that's scary stuff, but you got to be careful and make sure attorneys look at anything and everything you do because that's why God made them and that's what they're here for, to see things that maybe you don't. It's a second opinion, it's a legal opinion, and it helps you from being liable.
Yeah, and I think, sometimes you have to put these types of things, it's part of of an estate too, so you have to clarify what it may be. And we've talked about in shows before about how, especially with it's like a celebrity, how they have uh, certain rights. And even if it's not somebody's celebrity, remember we talked about the woman in Pennsylvania that had certain special talents that somebody tried to use her talents on a beer can or something like that, named after her, even though she didn't have a will. Her estate sued successfully the beer company for using her name, image, and likeness after she, 20 years after she died.
Remember that.
Yeah. Well, any other questions that you have about
Well,
this?
just answers. Again, once again, who knows? This has been caveat after caveat throughout the entire 10 or 15 minutes for the listeners and or viewers for that matter. So not listeners. Listeners is just radio. But you need to know more to be safe. You've got to make sure that your state is in order at all times. You never know. And just attend Michael's next workshop, which is coming up in the next month or so, to make sure that you have everything sufficient and complete. And the way to do that is just dial 214-720-0102, 214-720-0102, or go to dallaselderlawyer.com, dallaselderlawyer.com.
Well, thank you, Don, and I appreciate you joining me as always.
My pleasure.